Welcome back to the Clydesdale Media Podcast. My name is Scott Schweitzer. I'm the host. I have my co-host Amy Radowski with me, and we have a very special guest, Rebecca Fuselier. And how are you, Rebecca?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Good.
Great. So can I tell you how irritating it was at the CrossFit Games to hear your name mispronounced?
I think we're working on that. Maybe I should just put a story up every day of how to pronounce my name, and then hey, it's gotten better over the years.
Yeah.
I will say that it's gotten better over the years.
Kat, our other co-host, was pretty good at going around to all the announcers to make sure that they knew how to pronounce it, and would even text people that were announcing, say, "Hey, you're doing it wrong."
Oh, that's funny. I heard someone yell at me. So in North Park, there's like the bleachers all around the turf field. And then you can actually, if you sit on one side of the bleachers, you can see us getting lined up to go out to the stage. And I heard someone, I have no idea who it was, from above the bleachers. And they were like, Fuselier, get him to say your name right. And I go, okay, that's what I'll do during this event.
Right.
Funny.
That's what I'm focusing on here.
Yeah.
So give us a behind the scenes. It is rumored that you record how to pronounce your name so that they can listen to it.
Yes.
Did that happen?
Yes.
Did you stutter?
I don't think so. I mean, I have my moments, but I don't think that was one of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I even told the it's a hard one. I get it. It's a hard one.
So how long did it take your body to recover after that weekend?
So
plus.
It took quite a few days to get past I would say quite a few days to get past like the big soreness. And then after all that, it's so funny. I tell people this all the time. After you go through competition, even at the semifinals level, and then especially after the games, after you know the season's all over and everything, you get recovered. Your body starts feeling like it's not as beat up, and then you go to do your first workout back and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not even fit anymore.
Yeah.
It just goes away in like a week.
Yeah.
But no, it takes, it's not even so much like, I think we're so used to the physical soreness and the fatigue that comes with it, but training, it's this, like when you get through all the stress of it, and when that's what takes a while, and that's why you need to coach. And Matt over here it was just trying to pull me back so much of just like, and he's still trying to do it. Like I'm already ready to get back up to training and everything. He's already trying to pull me back just to let my mind still recover and have fun with training and just CrossFit and remember why we fell in love with it. And so it's like recovering the mind, I think, takes longer than your actual body because we're so used to just being sore for the most part.
Sure.
I cannot even imagine the mental strain that is. I was telling Amy before we went live, I was brain dead for a week just being there trying to cover it. And like you guys like amped it up 10 times. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. It's not even just the workouts and the stress of the workouts that you do on the field. It's like making sure your schedule is right, your eating schedule is right, you're there on briefings, and it's not just like you do the workout and you get to chill. As soon as we're done with the workout, they take us to the next briefing and we go through all that. You're walking from the Coliseum to the warm-up area and all this other crazy stuff. So it's just that you're always on, right? Your brain is always on and ready to go. So it's a long, and then this year we ended up competing 5 days, right? Yeah. So it was a long time, but I planned originally when I said when I was going to come back from after the games, and I was talking about kind of redoing my personal training / coaching schedule and everything. I was like, give me a week after the games, I'll be ready to go after that. No, my brain was not working for a solid week and a half, 2 weeks after that. I was like, I'm sorry, guys. I thought I'd be ready. So it took some time. I feel you there, Scott.
Kat wants to know if you had a little post-game blues. Like, is that really a thing?
Yes, I've had it. Not so much this season. And after the games, it's happened to me after pretty much most competitions where you get through all this hype and everything. And I think most athletes that are at this level and so like hard on themselves go through that because all the hype is up. you take away all those good moments, and then you kind of, I try not to dwell on those bad moments, but it's not, if you use them in the right way, they work for you. If you use them in the bad way, they can kind of work in a different way. They can kind of work against you. I've definitely felt the whole like, what do I do now kind of feeling after it. And that's happened after many competitions, but I think I've done a better job of training my brain to go, if I get those blues, you go back to being proud of all the good moments and take those good moments and run with them. So yes, they are real when the hype dies. It is kind of a little bit of like, what's next?
Yeah. I mean, you spend so much time hyper focused on this one thing. And then when that one thing is over, although you have a larger goal later on, it's still that right then now what? Now what do I focus on?
Yeah.
Kat says she thinks some of your bad moments were your best moments.
All I have to say for that is thank you to the community, because everybody keeps highlighting that. What I saw, which is what the moment everybody still talks about, the Capitol moment, is like, from my competitor brain and my competitor's view, it's like frustrating.
Yeah.
But everybody's like, such a great moment, such an important moment. And I'm like, thank you for letting me be a part of that.
Sure.
So I want to let the audience in. We actually talked to you before we went live. I think you have talked about the Capitol moment so much, and you do such a great job on your own YouTube channel, that if people want to hear the story, they should go to Rebecca's YouTube channel and check that out.
Yeah, we put up a little clip.
Yeah, because you do a great job kind of walking through that moment. But what I want to know about the Capitol is what happened after it, right? So one, you're a coach, right? So you're going through this moment that is the CrossFit ideal, right? The CrossFit way of cheering in the person that's struggling. As a coach, how can you take that experience, translate it into what you do for your athletes?
Right. So this has been, it's almost like such, and I'm right there with the community, and I've been so blessed to like I'm so excited. People have sent me like pictures of this happened in my community, and it's like a smaller version of the Capitol event. And we have that happen like on the daily here, right? In the gym. And I think that it really, I've always loved those moments. I think those are one of the most important moments of CrossFit. But now after going through that, it takes it to a whole new level. Like those moments, is you can see how important it is, and how it's unlike any other sport that the last person gets the loudest cheers and everything. And I think it, along with everyone else in the community, like it really resonates a little bit more of why we fell in love with CrossFit and how important those moments are. And the big thing about our sport and what we do in CrossFit is that you're going to take that through the rest of your life, not in just fitness and in the gym stuff. So it's really cool. I have like, we can talk a little bit about what happened like afterwards, as far as like my coach and everything, and trying, because it was a hard moment for him too. He was actually back at the expo center on the grounds. He wasn't at the moment, and he's really opened up, and he opened up about how hard it was for him to watch it from there, just being that your athlete is out on the floor in this moment, in this trying time, and we need to focus on that, but at the same time move on to the next event too. So it's more about the Capitol moment and how important it was, like literally after the games were over.
Sure.
Because everything's just happened back to back to back to back. So
right.
it's
gotta go to the next.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And it was definitely, I know how much, I can feel how much stronger and how important that moment was for future events, future competitions, and future years at the games.
So from that, someone did a drawing or a painting of that moment that you have made a shirt out of with Cambro. Do Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So they had, after the games had wrapped up and everything, Rocky with the owner of Cambro had reached out to me that people were asking if there's any Rebecca shirts out there, and we had done the normal like this year's game shirts with my no regrets on it and everything. That was my saying going into it. And he was like, people are asking for t-shirts. He was like, I think everybody, we need that moment kind of immortalized like on a shirt. But I was almost like mixed feelings going into that, and I kind of did a little video in it talking to the community and what I want this shirt to represent. And I don't want the shirt to represent me or Cambro or CrossFit both or any like one specific thing. I want it to really capture the whole community in that whole moment. And if anybody wanted it, like they could keep that shirt with them or hold that moment close to their heart. But even on the back, it just says community. He originally had like no regrets on it with a lightning bolt. And I was like, no, I just want it plain and simple. The community, this is for us. This is, and those shirts. Yeah. The other cool thing about it is the artist just tagged me in that sketch that they did. And I was like, that's so cool. It came from someone in the community.
Yeah.
And it's like not just a picture stuck on a shirt. Like it's a whole drawing on a shirt. So I loved it. And I wanted to make sure like it really captured such a special moment.
That gives me goosebumps. And I actually ordered mine, and it's going to end up on the wall.
Yes.
Back here.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I am so stoked for that. I also want to talk about, I know there was one other thing. From that moment, did life around the campus change for you from that moment forward? Were you more recognized? Could you walk from point A to point B?
Yeah. So this was the craziest part of this year is I'll talk about it a little bit before and a little bit after. Before the Capitol event, which was on Friday, it was on Friday morning. That Thursday I had planned, because it was supposed to be our scheduled rest day, right? And then we ended up doing an event on there. That was going to be the day I kind of made my rounds around campus and went through Vendor Village to meet all my sponsors and say hi and what's up and show my face and everything to all of them. And I was not expecting all the hey pictures and all this like all the love from everyone. And I was like, me? You what? Okay. And so that was really cool. And I think a lot of people have gotten, and I'm very thankful that a lot of people have gotten to know my story over the years of just following me over social. And I think I really let out a lot of my personality this year. So I'm glad a lot of people got to see that. And then after the Capitol event, in the moment, I didn't think a whole lot of that changed. And one of my biggest fears and because everybody, it is a good fear going into the games, was that I was gonna give it everything I had, and I wanted people to see how much of a fighter I am out there and how much I pour my heart and soul into everything. And I don't think it changed as much as after that event. I think people felt closer to me. I think they were out there. Okay. If that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like, oh yeah, that moment was just like I said, I want that moment to be for us. And I think people just really felt a lot closer. And yes, I got some extra like cheers and everything, because it's just, I think I'm really proud of the whole season and how people got to learn my story and see my heart on the floor as I compete. So, yeah.
Well, speaking of you letting out more of your personality this year, first of all, I love the vibe of the dancing, because I don't know, but I'm constantly dancing all the time in the middle of when I'm coaching, during an EMOM, all the time. But you also got to take some time and meet Roderick and Meme for Time and do a little nice little vibe dance there. So I think the community also, again, is also feeling more closer to you because they're getting to see that part of you that, yeah, we're serious about CrossFit and focus, but guess what? You like to have fun with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a breath of fresh air too in the community.
It really is that way. You know, a lot of people, and I was like this before in my previous like gymnastics career and just my first start of my competitive CrossFit career is like, I'm dead serious. I'm a dead serious competitor. I put all my focus into that moment and leading up to those moments and everything. But we all know, especially in this sport, if you're not having fun with it, it's not going to work. You have to have fun. You have to love to do it. It can't be, oh, I got to go to the gym today. They might have those days like that, but you know you love it deep down inside. You love the challenge. And I feel like in the past, like, there we go. I felt like I was so serious to the point where it hindered me, where I was like too nervous, putting way too much pressure on myself. And I still got that same mindset, but I can own the fact that I love the sport and I have fun with it. So I want people to know that you got to have, whatever you're doing, whether it's CrossFit or whether it's something else, you got to love it. You got to have fun with it. And that's when the best version of you is going to come forward. So I believe that.
Yeah.
So that takes me to a whole nother side of my questioning.
Yes.
So let's go there for now. I have said this repeatedly. You are the best follow in CrossFit on Instagram. And now you're doing shorts on YouTube. And they are so funny.
Okay, so you want to hear something? I appreciate that because that was my first one, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so weird." I was like, "I need to get better at these, but loosen up a little bit on these." Guess what? I rushed in here to get my computer
loosen
back
up. Did you say loosen up?
Yeah, I know. There's got more. We got more weirdness in there. I know we do. So I don't know how far it's gonna go, guys, but we don't know. I don't know. You guys are on the ride with me. So I rushed in here to open my computer up. Today's like really busy, and we just shot with Compete Media and Ask Me Anything, where Matt and I are talking back and forth answering these Instagram questions that I posted on my story yesterday, just an Ask Me Anything. And man, it gets a little weird, but it's funny. So that'll be up soon too.
So if Amy hasn't seen it, she has a short on YouTube on her YouTube channel that she is coaching every extreme client that you can imagine. And she plays all the parts.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, except Matt.
Except for Matt.
Matt's
yes.
the star.
Yeah, Matt has a towel that is his hair, his wad hair.
Yeah.
It is hilarious. But
Thank you.
like
I'm glad you guys
it's the people talking through the briefing. And then like they're not even doing anywhere near the movements. It's so funny.
Every day of my life.
Yeah, it's just but that's the fun part is like my goal of my story and my Instagram and my social and everything is just to be as real as possible. Okay. Yeah. Even in some of these Ask Me Anything questions, I'm like, your guys are going to see the funny side of me. And there are some questions on here that I am not happy that you guys had the guts to ask me, because I'll be straight up real with you guys. So that's my whole goal, is to keep it real. And don't worry, us CrossFit coaches love everyone, but sometimes we got to laugh in those moments. And then Matt just gave me the idea. He's like, next short is going to be the opposite. The athletes get to make fun of the coaches. So, because I know we do our things that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Matt comes in late, drops his blender bottle, all that stuff. Like he's 5 minutes late, all that kind of stuff. And then there's one that's like vibing with a bunch of pre-workout, and she's not doing full range of motion, not even close to like the movements. And then the best one, and this is actually Amy, comes in with her gold medal. What's your RX weight?
Oh,
like
the super competitor.
Super competitor.
It's a good one. I'm glad you guys liked it. More to come.
So going back to your Instagram, couple highlights. You walked us through butterfly pull-ups,
Baby Butters.
five
Butters.
week progression, and this week the caterpillar became the butterfly, and that was hilarious. Loved it.
Matt gave me a tip after he saw that. He was like, "You should have been on the floor, like wiggling around like a worm." I was like, "Oh darn, next time."
But my favorite one ever is the rope climb fall.
Oh yeah, I laughed myself
So-
at that one.
How hard was it to pose and not laugh as being the person who fell off the rope?
Well, there's got to be one day where I post all the bloopers in one reel, I feel like,
Yes.
right? Because there's way too many of them. And honestly, it's so awkward when I'm filming those reels because the whole picture comes together when all the audio's added and everything, right? Especially when you're doing voiceovers and everything. And I'm like, it's so awkward and it's so funny at the same time. So that's got to be posted. I've been told that I have a really good RBF. Sometimes it's real, sometimes it's not. So you guys can pick out which one that is at that moment. But on my videos, they're like, you have you can hold your face like really, really well. I'm like, thanks. Maybe sometimes it's real, you know.
This is my natural look. I'm sorry.
I think I do have natural RBF. So
Yeah. I do notice like you're this fun, energetic person on Instagram and YouTube and all that. When you get to the start line, it is very straightforward, eyes forward, head down, and it's ready to go. So what about the in between? We've talked to a couple athletes who said there were two camps backstage, and it was the ones that like to be bubbly and goofy in between events and those that are very serious. Which camp do you fall in?
the very serious one, believe it or not. So that's so true. And I think it's the way some athletes are different on how they handle nerves. Some people do a better job of talking out and like talking through the event and being like, blah, 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 I got to get all my nerves out this way. And other athletes, myself included, I really have to sit in my own space, keep visualizing the event over and over and over. And I just do better just kind of staying, like I said, staying in my own space and being a little more quiet. And I think that confuses people sometimes because I'm such a loud character on social media. But I've told you guys before, I'm actually like an introvert, and I recharge in those like moments that I'm like by myself. So when leading up to the games, when I got a few like not so nice comments of like, oh, she's not serious going into it, she's too focused on social and everything, I was like, I had posted a picture recently that Compete Media had taken where it's like at the starting line, like dead serious. I was like, I'm kind of like this Jekyll Hyde character, like two-sided. Like I can be fun and relaxed when it's time to be fun and relaxed, but then when it's go time, it's go time. Yeah.
I think that's an important skill to just know about yourself, though, to know how you recharge and to know that that's what you need to do in that space, where some people might just be like, I'm just nervous, so I have to do this. But you're knowing, no, this is what I need to do in order to be able to focus on those moments. And I know when to have fun, when it's time to have fun.
Yeah. And that comes from learning. I
Yeah.
used to be so nervous when I competed that I actually talk a lot more. And I noticed that didn't work for me over the years. I have to like, at semifinals, I was sitting up in the corner of the arena, just visualizing events over and over and over before we went out there. And that's what works best for me. So lots of practice.
So let me ask you this, as an introvert and someone who's very serious backstage, does that allow you any time to befriend other athletes?
This a lot of people ask like similar questions like this, like who do you talk to? Do you find other athletes that relate to you? In this first year at the games, I didn't talk to a whole lot of athletes. I did have conversations with them, and it's more or less like when the day is over, when you have those time in between. No, everybody's like, do the event, go get food, rest, then we got to go warm up. Then it's like, so I did have like some really good conversations with some of them, and I definitely have like some. I'm a fan of many of the girls that I got to compete with. I'm not as like definitely some that I feel like in the future I could reach out via social media and be like, hey, you want to train together? Like to that extent. So there's some talking in the back, but like I said, everybody knows when it's time to compete, it's time to compete. Everything's gets cut off.
That's kind of what I was getting to, because you train alone for the most part, correct? And I think it's good that you may not fall into training camp kind of thinking, but but occasionally to get someone to train against and just test yourself is a good thing. And I just wanted to know if you made any of those types of connections.
Yeah. We have quite a few athletes around here in Texas. And I talked about training with even Leah at Leah Irons at semifinals, and even semifinal levels and games level athletes. I definitely feel like I could reach out to some of them and possibly like set up those few weekends that you need to kind of like set a baseline and know where you're at, because that was maybe one of the scariest parts about going into the games this year. Was I was confident in myself, but after 8 weeks passes after semifinals and you're going against the best in the world, you're like, oh my gosh, like it's really hard to know where you stand against those top competitors. And if you're in one of those training camps, obviously you can kind of get a little bit better idea, right?
Right.
So I think sorry, go ahead.
No, you finish.
Yeah, I think there's an important time to be able to push yourself and train alone. And then there's a time and a place, like pick a few weekends to go line yourself up with other great athletes and see where you're at.
So my last question about being an introvert is, I was watching your highlights part 1, and it was that Thursday where you were in Vendor Village kind of bopping around. What's it like when you're an introvert and everybody wants to take a selfie?
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, it's fun. I love meeting everyone out there. I think are you an introvert, Scott?
I am.
No, you're an introvert, Amy.
No.
Okay,
yes.
So I'll let you know. It works like this. You got a time limit.
Yep.
I love people, and then once that time limit is up, I'm like, gotta go.
Yeah, I'm done.
Gotta go. So I truly, like, it means a lot. That's how the sport grows. That's how my following grew. That's how like a part of me just keeps having fun, especially just knowing that I have so much support everywhere. So of course I'm always gonna be like, yeah, let's take those pictures. Like, I love meeting all you guys, but especially in a moment like the games, like I can't use all my energy up on that. And even when Matt was with me, and he was like, okay, that's enough. Let's start heading back. Yeah.
It's good to have that person too that can help you balance that and cut it off. Like, okay, it's time to go refocus. And
yeah, for sure.
It's funny because I was watching that, and this one guy, it was a weird selfie, and not calling him out for anything, but he was like trying to duck his head
Scott.
into your bicep.
Call him out, Scott, because it was weird.
Call him out.
Okay. I was like, is he trying to kiss her bicep?
Oh.
And then he just kind of ducked his head into your flex and then flexed himself. And I was like, what is he doing? And then I wanted to ask
I'm glad you guys picked that up too, because you guys didn't even see the full moment.
Well, I was going to ask, was that the weirdest moment of doing selfies, or was
that might have been the weirdest moment of the games? I'm not kidding. Okay, so for the most part, I love the CrossFit community. Everybody was so respectful of my time and my space, and just asked me like, hey, can we get a picture, or like sign this, and like super polite. And that's like happening right before you exit the campus.
Yeah.
I'm like, this got weird really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I literally at first thought he was trying to kiss your bicep.
I didn't know
thought you were going
on.
to punch him in the face.
And then Matt was borderline like,
okay, he needs to ask consent before trying to kiss your biceps. That is just awkward.
And the answer to that probably would have been,
Right. Exactly. Because that's weird.
I'm glad you
So-
guys picked up on that because that was strange to me. And I was like, is it just me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was bizarre. I can't believe that you guys put it in there, but maybe it's being real, right?
Yeah. Being real. Weird people. They're around.
Well, now that you called them out, Scott, I'm going to blame you on that. You called them out. It wasn't me.
Listen,
Called
don't
them
do
out.
weird things. and you won't get called out.
People, you guys watching this, don't do weird things because you'll get called out on Clydesdale. So
That's right.
There it is. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But I've never been turned down for a picture with an athlete ever.
Yeah.
Right? Just be respectful.
yeah.
Don't do weird shit.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's all you got to do. How hard is that?
Right.
Turns out it can be hard, I guess.
Yeah.
So let's go back to a little bit of the games. And you had like a little run in the middle there. The skill medley, of course. And I want to talk about that as it developed, and they talked to you about that in the briefing. The whole time were you like, ooh, I got that. Ooh, I got that. Ooh, I got that. Or were you like, ooh, we got to see if I have that?
So in any other type of workout that had pegboards were a whole new thing to me. I've only been on a wooden pegboard that's got like a really sketchy setup a handful of times. Any other workout that had single unders, handstand walk, pirouettes, and anything upside down, I would be like, psh, I got this. But it being structured in an elimination format, that's anyone's game. Anyone can trip on a single under, as you guys could see, and it's anyone's game at that point. So it was kind of cool, but it's still like people ask me about that workout. And I'm like, no, that was the most nerve-wracking one for sure, because especially when you have like kind of you're expected to do really well on that because people know I'm a former gymnast. I'm good upside down. I'm good at these body weight exercises, but still, one little slip up could have cost you on that event. So in the back when they're explaining it, I'm just like, I got to get past the first round. So I think that was the interesting part of that event, because going into the final round, I hadn't practiced or tried those double under crossovers because I was like, you got to get past the singles and the doubles to even worry about that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But what was fascinating to me is if that event was 10 seconds longer, you would have won it.
I agree.
Because you were catching Danielle.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of found a rhythm.
Yeah.
Right. And I think she beat you by like one rep.
I think it ended up being the tiebreaker.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He had a faster handstand run on like the first two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it would have been, 5 seconds longer, you win. Because you got those double unders better than she did by the end of it.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling after that? You know, it's your
Out
rookie
of all
season.
The questions you've asked me, I don't want to hear it. But yes, if you would have ever told me that I went into my rookie season my rookie year at the games that I'd have a second place finish under my belt, I wouldn't believe you. But that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then you did the elevated Elizabeth, which you get an 11th place finish. So you're up in that like top half, top quarter, doing pretty well.
I have a question about that.
And
I want to ask about that. Those dips.
Go.
So I've done compare those to doing strict ring dips. Like, are they completely vastly different? Like or is it like doing a matador dip?
So I'm actually, I was very thankful that I had gotten some accessory work more consistent, or gotten a little bit more consistent with some accessory work on like bar attachments versus the rings. I think for the longest time, and I think most like high level athletes prioritize those ring dips because we say they're more challenging, and they are in a sense that the rings move all over the place, but they are different from the bars that don't move. And especially for someone like me that's got like a little bit smaller frame and shoulders, my hands can be pretty wide on bars. So it's a little bit different, like versus the rings, I can pull them in super tight and then get those tight dips right there. So if you have like bar attachments in your gym, it's definitely something like that. The walking across and everything, the bars are flexible. And I knew that from my gymnastics background, not that we do parallel bars, but I've been on them before. And I knew if you could find like a rhythm kind of scooting across them, you can use that, the bounce of the bars and everything. But the dips, yeah, they're different than ring dips.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be pretty confident after that night, right? You have those two events back to back, and they're pretty good finishes. And then because of the weather delay, then you go into the shuttle overhead and you do really well in the shuttle part.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think you probably knew that the overhead part was not going to be your best event.
Yeah. So we did, coming off of, I think day one was that day one? Yeah, that was day one.
Yeah.
It's so hard to remember everything. That was, the days were going by all weird and everything. But I think that first day was so important for me because it just gave me that boost of confidence. Like, yeah, I can hang out here, and we can put up a good race against these girls. And I did what I needed to do on the events that fit me, and then we'll give it everything we got on the events that are a little bit tougher. But yes, that's a really cool event, the shuttle to overhead. I think it was a very cool event how they scored it in two separate events, the shuttle part and then the shoulder to overhead. So I'm very, very, very proud of how we executed the run on that one, because we were going to push it a little bit harder, just being that the shoulder to overhead I'm not going to get near the top on the shoulder to overhead. We know that. So pacing those runs was so important to find that almost meeting a red line, but not like blowing up for the 800-meter run. So I was very proud of how far my running has come, and I think it showed in that event. Yeah.
Agree.
And then the shoulder to overhead
really
was do work.
Yeah.
Do as much work as we can.
So I want to talk about up and over, because I would say that typically would be a really good workout for you, but you're coming off the Capitol and all of that emotion. And we talked to Lazar Jukic, and he doesn't even remember up and over because he was so exhausted from the Capitol.
Yeah. The up and over was actually my favorite
for
event.
you?
Was it?
Yeah, it was. Because I did like the workout, but that's what happens when you get into the test of the games is you might like this workout, but what did the workouts do to you before that you have to play around with? And like we were talking about what happened after the Capitol event is by the time we got back and we got like our brains back together after everything that happened, it was just recovery mode. Get this, I was having issues with my ankle after the first event, so that followed me all weekend. But it was like, get food in, get this ankle taken care of, get recovered. So much food and so much fluids like waters, electrolytes, and just like started like, that's all Matt was telling me to do, was just keep pounding food and water and Gatorade and all that. And then it was just a race against the clock to get recovered, which I think that's why I'm really proud of that event, is just because of I did really well for what was happening.
Did you take an ice bath after the Capitol or do any of that kind of recovery?
I didn't have time
after
that one, but after most of the events, I either gotten full ice bath or stuck my legs in.
Yeah.
So this is a weird question. So after the Capitol, yeah, I'm not going to do weird shit.
Okay.
Just a weird
You're
question.
even the dude kissing my bicep question.
Yeah.
So after the Capitol, on your YouTube channel, when you watch what happens, you have to walk quite a distance from there after the event. How far did you have to go to get into a vehicle or whatever to get back to campus?
It's a lot. So that's what people don't realize is when we're traveling from events and from the North Park and then the Coliseum, and then that was an offsite event, there's so much moving around. There's so much walking. And we had to walk. It just seemed like a long time, probably because I was hobbling the way to the bus, and then getting off the bus I was trying like not to get in the way, but I was on one leg at that point, and it's a long trek for the most part from any event.
Because in your video, you like stop behind a utility truck, you sit down on the street, and you're taking off a shoe and a sock.
I was trying to hide. I was like, I don't want anyone.
Like, I've had enough
I don't want
focus
them to see that. And then at that point, the adrenaline starts wearing off, and I was like, oh, so I had sprained my ankle on the bike event, and that's what was giving me a lot of trouble. Is my ankle was taped up. It was taped up a little too tight, and my foot got my whole leg, my foot got all cramped up. And then by the time I got to that point, I was like, I got to get this off. Like it's I can't walk on this anymore.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than having an ankle taped too tight.
Yeah, it was rough.
So how did your ankle hold up then on the big box jumps?
It was not fun going into that event, but that's the coolest thing is adrenaline is a really cool drug that makes some pain go away out there. But that's the scary part is like, I could still feel it big time going up and over the boxes. I mean, you're still pushing through it at that point. I was more worried about, I knew it wasn't the pain that was ever going to stop me. Like I was really nervous before the shuttle runs, to be honest, like taking that turn. Luckily it wasn't like sprint shuttle runs. We were kind of pacing it. But that's why I had it taped up is I just had so many issues when we were sprinting to the finish line that my foot was like wobbling all over the place, and I didn't want to roll it again to make it worse. So we had it taped up for the rest of the weekend. So it was there. That's a part of me that was just, I think I was more frustrated than anything. I can deal with the pain.
Yeah.
It's just, I got to deal with this the rest of the weekend. Yeah.
So you make the cuts on Saturday night, and then you have to finish through Sunday, which probably wasn't the highlight of your weekend. But I want to talk about, what did you learn in that moment? Because Sunday did the volume catch up with you on Sunday?
No, it was the weight
stuff.
It was the weights. And we just got to get stronger. That's no surprise at this point. That's where we gotta make some ground. But I think the coolest thing, and I've told my coach this, I've told my family this, and I've told like some really close training partners, that the coolest part of this season is I faced all of my fears this season. I think there's not much more. Like my fears were not being able to keep up with the pack. I showed that I could do that on the events that are balanced and that are more fitted to me. On the events that I didn't think I'd do well, I surprised myself, like the shuttles. That was a big improvement. And then my other big fear, which I knew I was going to come to, was standing in front of a weight that I couldn't get off the ground. And that happened more than once. It's not fun. But it's scary. It's scary when you have the Coliseum over you and you're giving it every ounce of effort, and it's just not going the way you want it to go. But I'm like, hey, that was my biggest fear. I faced it. I owned it. I never stopped trying out there, whether it was the sandbag, the yoke. I never stopped trying out there. I hit a monster PR on my 1K row, and people don't even realize that. It was, I'm so proud of that, and it gives me such hope and energy going into next season that I did this. It was scary, but we got through it and we got better because of it. And now let's go see what I'm going to use all that emotion in training.
That's one of the most powerful lessons that you can learn in those moments, is that you can do really scary things and then, move through it. It's not always going to be the outcome you want, but realizing, oh, I went through that and I'm okay.
So I'm happy.
Yeah,
I'm really proud of this season.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I love that you say that, because at that moment you have two choices, right? Wallow in the situation, or take it as, this is my challenge
Yeah.
and this is what I'm going to overcome. And
Yeah.
what I think is cool about you, and I hope this isn't too sappy, is that, you said in the video that the Capitol was the greatest moment in your career at this point. And I truly believe that that's just your start. Like a few years from now, that moment is just going to be what started it all, not the moment.
Yeah. I think it'll get even cooler when we look back at that moment.
Totally.
Yeah. When we're stronger, and when we're just stronger.
So you've said you've found these areas that you need to work on. So how are you bringing those lessons home and now approaching that to your training? Or have you already started in on tweaking some of those changes, or are you still in recovery mode?
Yeah, it's kind of no. We're not back to full training. We're in the mode of, we had a week off. Then I kind of like jumped into some class workouts, not too much. And then now I think I'm already overstepping where coach wanted me to be at this point, just because I'm anxious to get back to it. But I'm at the point where I'm like mimicking my old training volume, but the intensity is not anywhere near. So kind of like my biggest thing is I wanted to get back on my schedule, like time of working out in the morning, working out in the afternoon, even if it's like smaller pieces. So definitely not anywhere near normal training. But so what we're going to do, and obviously we're taking all the lessons that we got from the games and from the season into training, but I'm very, very happy with how we built on this season, and we got a few things to tweak as far as just like how we want the season to roll, like training through the open, through quarters, through semifinals and everything. But we're just going to keep building on that. We know I got super strong this year. She seems like a Frozen 2 fan. I'm a Disney movie watcher.
Okay.
But I'm a little bit older for Frozen. I say that.
So there's
old
been a
soul.
debate on our shows, Rebecca, just so you know.
Oh,
Frozen 1 or Frozen 2.
Oh,
what is the better movie?
Okay, I can't wait.
We've been talking to a lot of parents of young kids and that stuff too. So we're like, Frozen 1 or Frozen 2?
Funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
I have to go back and watch those debates.
Yeah.
Serious stuff.
Serious.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're just gonna keep building this season, this next season, and I have got my sights set on putting some weight on this teeny body. See it?
So we're gonna with a nutrition coach on that part?
Yeah, I don't have one yet, but yeah, I'm gonna get into it. I just need someone to tell me, and Matt's already on top of this. You just gotta realize we're so close that sometimes he gets the ugly side of me when he's like, eat, go eat.
So let me ask you this. You're a coach and you're an athlete. And I think you equally identify as both in our conversations. Can you maintain the balance of the two and be a successful games athlete?
We proved this year that yes, you can do it. In the future, there's definitely, if I want to level up from where I'm at right now, there's got to be a little bit of I'm just completely dump one side. It's when I start approaching season, I start giving more of my time to my athlete side. Like right now, I told people, you want to get in some extra skill work with me, you want to get in some extra personal training, now's the time to do it while we're kind of in off season. I don't even think there's like an off season, but off season. But I have more time to coach right now. Now, when we get closer, it'll definitely shift the other way of like more focus on training. This season was insane. I do not want to do what I did this season in next season. Like I was up on my feet way too much. My sleep was trash, and it starts catching up to you. So I definitely that's where I need to make big improvements, is recovery.
So Chris asks, joining late for the Capitol event, would you rather have finished 10th or not have that moment, or finish where you did and have the moment?
Chris, that's a deep question.
It is deep.
So I'm have it set on this because so many people after that moment were just like, wow, you should be so proud of that moment. And when you're a competitor in that spot, you're like, even one of the sweetest competitors out there was just like, wow, like kind of, she said like, I wish that was me. And I was like, well, I want the points that come with a higher place. That's what I want. And but I'm kind of have it set on this. At this point, no, I don't want the 10th place. That's behind me. And but what's the coolest, I know that moment was supposed to happen. That event wasn't going my way. The run didn't go the way I wanted it to. I was so excited to get after that event. But now I'm like, it was so supposed to happen that way. So I will take the Capitol moment. It's important.
All right. Last couple questions.
Wait, did you hear that?
What are you doing in the off season?
I am still living my gym life, and hopefully you guys see more content coming your way.
So
Make sure
any
you keep
off season
dancing.
events? Oh, and on an off season event, I'm shooting for probably Miami this year. I went back as a teenager individual in 2017. So that'll be quite the return. So maybe Wadapalooza. And I usually hang around. In our gym, we usually have a lot of TFX competitors. I have not decided on that one, depending on what happens with Wadapalooza.
Okay. Yeah, because they're like a week apart usually.
Yeah, the qualifiers I think overlap. If you're depending on team and individual.
Mm.
Yeah.
Cool. And if Rogue came calling
in
Texas,
that would be so cool. You know what the crazy part of that one? That someone asked that on our Ask Me Anything, and I have to give that same answer, even though Matt's not sitting. Matt's not sitting next to me. Oh, he's on the other side of the office over there. But we talked about that a little bit. If I got a chance to compete at Rogue, it would be a very hard no. I mean, not hard in that sense, but it would be hard for me to say no. It would be a no because it's too close to season. I wouldn't be ready for it. My body is not at the point where it can go through another challenging event like that. And in the future, dude, Rogue looks sick. I want to compete at that so bad. But when my body's ready for it and we can go have some fun out there.
Yeah.
And Todd asks, and I'm going to rephrase this a little bit. Has Rogue called because you holding the stone has Rogue on the front? Perfect advertising.
No, unfortunately, but I have signed someone's Husafel stone and I got nightmares doing it. So flashback. So
well, we won't ask you
and
that.
people tag me in their pictures of the Husafel stone. And I'm like, that's cool.
But what you really want to say is,
guess what my best friend got me as a first year games gift.
A Husafel stone.
Husafel stone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, I got to go fill it up because we're gonna make friends with that stone.
Yeah, you are. I love it.
Funny story. I was walking out of the campus one night and someone had bought one at Rogue and they were taking like 6 steps across a flat parking lot, dropping it, 6 steps, dropping it, 6 steps, dropping it.
So I have the story from 2017 that's really funny. That's like that. My in 2017 we bought a 150-pound sandbag, but they're the used ones, right?
Yeah.
And you have to take it off campus to take all the sand out. They don't want you dumping piles of sand on campus. So my brother and my friend, we have a funny video of them doing the same thing with the 150-pound sandbag way back when, where it was like partner carry, like see how far you can get it and then see how far. Yeah, it took a while. But yes, that's funny.
Well, Rebecca, we're coming up on the hour. And so I just want to thank you so much for joining us. A couple quick questions. I think you answered some of these, though. What was your favorite event?
Up and Over. Up and Over was my favorite one.
What were you most proud of?
The way we carried ourselves on the floor, and the fact that the competition floor felt like home and it was comfortable for me.
Love it.
And shout out to who was your crew at the games?
All my peeps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to my coach, Matt McCraney, Compete Media, who documented the whole thing, Gerard. He's awesome. And my family, mom, dad, Noah, Kat, Alex, all my puppy doggies that were supporting at home. And Yash, always happy to have, or grateful to have his support, and everyone at Bolt and all of our coaches for holding down the fort while we were gone for that long. That meant a lot. I missed them, but they were holding down the fort.
Well, Rebecca, you are the best.
Yeah.
So glad we got to meet, and so glad we got to have this talk, and hopefully we got some different questions in there than what you've been getting.
Yeah,
to make this a little bit more fun.
Yes, very fun. I can't wait to go watch the YouTube videos now.
Yes. Tell me what you think.
I will.
All right.
Well, we'll let you go and get back to your busy day. Thank you so much for jumping on with us.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.